Hey everyone, welcome back. So today, we're diving into what I like to call the ultimate strategist's toolkit. If you've ever wondered why one startup explodes into a billion-dollar empire while 100 others just kind of quietly fade away, well, you are definitely in the right place. We're going to explore exactly how companies secure and maintain their dominance in the market, all based on this module's material.
Now think back to our last explainer covering Module 10. We talked a lot about e-commerce, right? We looked at B2B, B2C, m-commerce, and just how incredibly global the digital marketplace has become. But here's the thing. E-commerce is simply the playing field. Honestly, having a website or an app just gets you in the game. Today, in Module 11, our focus shifts entirely to competitive advantage. This is the actual playbook for how you outmaneuver the competition to win that game.
So here's our battle plan for this explainer. First, assessing the battlefield. Second, picking your business strategy. Third, disruptors and followers. Fourth, operational excellence. And finally, the final question. Let's get right into it. Section 1. Assessing the battlefield. Okay, before business can go on the offensive, it absolutely has to understand the market forces already at play. You literally can't win a battle if you don't know the terrain. So let's talk about Porter's 5 forces. Developed by Professor Michael Porter, this framework basically dictates how strongly a market pushes back on your business. It really forces you to look at your existing competitors, the constant threat of new entries, how much power your suppliers hold, how much power your buyers hold, and of course the threat of someone substituting your product entirely.
To put this into perspective for us business professionals, let's anchor that supplier power force with a real-world heavyweight, Walmart. They use their massive economies of scale to totally dictate terms. Because they buy in such unimaginable bulk, they have immense purchasing power. They can literally pressure their suppliers into lowering prices, forcing them to just bend to their will. And if a supplier refuses, well, Walmart simply threatens to buy elsewhere. It's really a masterclass in neutralizing supplier power to maintain a competitive edge.
But you can't just stop at Porter. Good strategists are constantly scanning their environments. You've probably heard of a SWOT analysis. That's where you look internally, assessing your 5 Ps like personnel and your purse, meaning your overall financial strength. Then on the flip side, you've got a PESTEL analysis, which looks outward at external forces. Asking things like, are there new tax laws? Is the economy dipping? Is there some brand new technology we can leverage? And today, managers use management information systems to track all this complex data constantly.
All right, Section 2, picking your business strategy.
Once you've got a clear picture of the battlefield through those frameworks, it's time to transition from observation into action. You've got to choose your attack plan. Now, Porter also gave us 2 generic strategies to choose from. Are you going to fight using price leadership, meaning you offer the absolute lowest possible price to a massive market? Or will you fight using product differentiation, offering something so unique that customers are going to happily pay a premium price for it? Ultimately, you have to decide, will you be the cheapest or will you be the most unique? But hey, what if you just don't want to fight in a crowded market at all? That brings us to the ocean strategies. Existing markets are called red oceans because, well, they're bloody with competitors fighting tooth and nail over price or tiny improvements. But a blue ocean? That is a wide-open, completely uncontested market space. A blue ocean strategy happens when a company differentiates its product so wildly that it creates an entirely new market, making all that old competition totally irrelevant. Cirque du Soleil is the absolute perfect example of this. They didn't look at traditional circuses and say, let's offer slightly cheaper tickets or let's get a bigger elephant. No, they reinvented the product from the ground up. By focusing heavily on high-end artistry and human athleticism, they cut out those expensive animal acts and created a whole new audience of theatergoers who were more than willing to pay premium prices. They just sailed right into a blue ocean.
Moving right along, Section 3, Disruptors and Followers.
Knowing exactly when and how to enter these markets is just as critical as knowing what you're selling. You hear the buzzword disruption literally all the time in business, but what does it actually mean in practice? Well, Christensen's disruptive innovation model is an absolute game changer for modern strategists. It's when a company uses technology to transform a market, very often by taking existing tech and repurposing it in some highly creative ways. To make this super concrete, let's look at Apple. Apple didn't invent MP3 players from scratch, and they definitely didn't invent mobile phones. But what they did was brilliantly combine their existing iPod technology with phone capabilities and an internet browser to create the iPhone. That creative combination of totally existing technologies completely disrupted the mobile market and toppled the massive giants of that era.
Now, you might be thinking, obviously, being the first to invent something like the iPhone is always the best move, right? Actually, there is a massive debate in boardrooms between relying on the first mover advantage versus the fast follower strategy. A first mover gets to grab resources and lock in customer loyalty early on, but a fast follower, they get to just sit back, watch the innovator make some very expensive mistakes, and then swoop in with a cheaper or highly optimized product.
Get this, what's really fascinating about the math behind this debate is the actual success rate. Studies show that over half of all first movers actually fail. Crazy, right? Meanwhile, over 80% of fast followers succeed. And the reason why is pretty straightforward. They let someone else foot the bill for the incredibly expensive research and development, and then they just optimize it. It completely flips that assumption that you always have to be first if you want to win.
Okay, Section 4, Operational Excellence.
So, you've assessed the market, you've picked your strategy, and you entered at the perfect time. What is left? Execution. Let's look at the principles of lean manufacturing, which are based on Dr. James Womack's work. These ensure that the company engine runs flawlessly once the strategy is set. Lean is all about specifying value, ensuring it flows without any interruption, and eliminating absolutely anything that doesn't add value, basically eliminating waste. The big takeaway here for a business professional is that management information systems, or MSI tools, are exactly what make this possible. They let data and suggestions flow rapidly from the factory floor straight up to the CEO in real time, constantly streamlining the entire operation.
The fifth tenet of lean manufacturing is the relentless pursuit of perfection. And look, this isn't just some dusty academic theory. It is a very real, very sharp competitive weapon. In fact, Toyota built their entire luxury Lexus brand around this exact tenet, literally using the relentless pursuit of perfection as their guiding slogan to communicate just unparalleled quality to their buyers. Now, while lean is all about cutting out waste, Six Sigma is laser-focused on eliminating physical defects. Six Sigma relies heavily on data analytics to reduce output variance to an astonishingly low number. We are talking less than 3.4 errors per 1 million manufacturing steps. Using step-by-step acronym frameworks like DMAIC for existing processes or DMADV for brand new products, managers rely on heavy statistical data to ensure near-flawless quality control.
And wrapping up this section, we've got to talk about JIT, or just-in-time manufacturing. This is an inventory strategy where you basically don't buy parts or labor until the exact second they are needed on the assembly line. When it works, it saves massive amounts of money because you aren't paying to warehouse all this excess inventory. But a quick word of warning to future managers out there. It requires an exceptionally smooth supply chain. Just one single hiccup in delivery can bring your entire factory to a grinding halt.
Which brings us to Section 5, the final question.
We have covered so much ground today. Everything from Porter's forces and blue oceans to lean manufacturing and fast followers. To wrap things up, let's turn the focus back to the real world. I want you to think of a business you shop at frequently. It could be a local coffee shop down the street or a massive e-commerce giant. Look closely at how they operate. Are they a price leader or are they a differentiator? Do they use economies of scale like Walmart? Are they a fast follower? Try to decode their strategic attack plan. Because honestly, once you start spotting these frameworks out in the wild, you are well on your way to mastering the strategist toolkit yourself. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.